it looked to me like you're adding a division, the Department of Addiction Services. Is that correct? Or did I misread that?
Thank you for your question, Senator. That is actually an existing division within the Department of Corrections. We're just modifying the name and moving it out to represent that it's providing services to all of those individuals served under the Department of Corrections, including inmates in our prison facilities, as well as offenders on community supervision.
Will that have a higher level than of supervision, like a deputy director or something over it, or not so?
There is already a division director that serves in that role and
Thank you.
that function. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we've got a motion and a second on the bill. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Berg. Senator Carroll. Senator Kerr. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel. Senator Schroeder. President Stivers. Senator Turner. Senator West. Senator Wheeler. Chairman Westerfield.
Aye. Bill passes with favorable expression on a 7-0 vote for our viewers at home. Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Motion for consent.
So, I've got a motion and a second from Senator Wheeler, motion from Senator Schickel. All those in favor of putting this on the consent calendar, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. I'll be in touch on 313. Thank you. All right, we're going to take up the Chairman's Bill, Senate Bill 271 next, an act relating to domestic violence. Very simply put, this was not an issue that was on my radar. I was contacted by Linda Blackford with the Herald Leader sometime back at the tail end of last year, and she mentioned something to me about our sexual assault and domestic violence organizations here in Kentucky, KCADV and KSAP, essentially having to rely on Google News alerts to track data on domestic violence cases. And I forget what the substance of the call was, but that particular thing just smacked me in the face and made it really painfully obvious that that's a problem. We're not tracking that we don't identify that we don't follow that is a failing of state government. We can't make good public policy decisions on domestic violence or anything else for that matter without good data to show us what's going on. And that's what this bill does.
Motion.
Thank you from Senator Schickel. Second from Senator Wheeler. I appreciate that. Anybody have any questions of the bill? Yes, sir. Senator Turner.
I'm going to vote to get it out. I just wonder if you'd agree to add additional information such as how many court systems provide counseling or training. I know where I'm from, they have a program that the judge orders them to go certain training, and they're going to reconcile and those kind of things, so we can get true statistical data from all areas.
Right. I wouldn't object to additional information or data being collected. If that's something we can track, I don't have a problem with that at all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I shouldn't have said, and that was a terrible choice of words, and I said smack me in the face. That was a terrible choice of words, and I don't mean to make light of that, and I don't mean to, that just occurred to me that I said that. But it was a jarring revelation that Linda brought to my attention. She has since written on that, and I'm glad that she did. I give her credit for it, and the credit of our domestic violence and sexual assault service providers in the state for doing what they do every day, and frankly for doing it with not enough resources and clearly not without the information that this bill hopefully will provide. So thank you for the motion and the second. Seeing no further questions, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Berg. Senator Carroll. Senator Kerr. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel.
Excuse me.
Senator Schroeder. President Stivers.
Aye.
Senator Turner. Senator West. Senator Wheeler. Chairman Westerfield.
Aye. Bill passes again with favorable expression on a 7-0 vote. Members, I greatly appreciate that. I'll entertain a motion for consent. Motion from Senator Schickel, second from Senator Wheeler.
I think I have to be a bill for me to put.
That's right. You did mention that. All right, not on consent, and that's fine. Not a problem with that. Members, thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Do we have? I'm looking to see if we've got what sponsors we've got here in the room. I'm going to go ahead and take up a couple of House bills. I know I've got Representative or Chairman Ed Massey. Is he with us this morning? I think I saw him walk in. Got it. All right. If you'll buzz Roberta or tap her, let somebody text or wave, jump up and down. Let me know when you're ready to go. All right. Representative Pratt with House Bill 48. You can come on up. Glad to have you here. First House bill of the session before the mighty Senate Judiciary Committee. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure there. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. This is a bill we heard in the interim. It's House Bill 48. It's swatting. Much like me, when I heard about this, I thought, what is swatting? Swatting is basically when you make a fake 911 call that requires a response team, usually a SWAT team. It was brought to my attention by the Scott County Sheriff, Tony Hampton. A couple in Georgetown was swatted. Actually, I'll give also Channel 18, WLAX, kudos for carrying the story and making the public aware of it. I want to thank, again, the Scott County Sheriff took this situation where someone made a fake 911 call, said they basically killed their family, was holding hostages. They realized something was wrong. They diffused this very quickly. And luckily, but even at that, the lady of the house almost did not come out. Now, this does have deadly consequences. As we look at this, it not only puts innocent people's lives in danger, it puts the first responders' lives in danger. There's actually been a case in Tennessee where a gentleman owned the hashtag Tennessee. A gentleman wanted it, was an online gamer. He refused to give it up. They called in a SWAT on him. He actually came to his front yard. His daughter said was dazed and confused, died of a massive heart attack in his yard.
Motion.
Got a motion from Senator Schickel, second from Senator Wheeler. Can you guys just always make the motion in second every meeting? That'd be great.
I'm fine with that.
Senator Schickel with a question.
Yes, sir.
Didn't we vote on this last year? What, did it make it through or what?
No, sir, we did not. This is the first time this bill's been through. You did hear in the interim, though. That's
Oh, that was when we saw the
Yes, sir.
movie. Okay,
Yes,
great.
sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Any other questions? Yes, Senator Turner.
And I'm sorry I hadn't read it and asked, but there's some ifs about where you're going to be prosecuted and if where the restitution is going to be made. I didn't.
Actually,
where that-
again, the reason we won't make it a felony is because most of these calls come from out of state, and it's only a felony, the lowest level felony. It doesn't say you have to prosecute it. It just allows, if your local law enforcement would like to do it, they can. But there is actually restitution language in here that if you pursue it, they can actually pursue the cost of going and catching the perpetrator of this crime.
I have no problem with that. My question though is, there's like 3 different venues that you could be prosecuted or charged for restitution in. Who's going to decide the venue, which county or which place that's?
I think that's up to the county, again, how they want to pursue that. I'm not too sure.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Seeing no further questions, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Berg.
Aye.
Senator Carroll. Senator Kerr. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel.
Yes.
Senator Schroeder. President Stavers.
Aye.
Senator Turner. Senator West.
Aye. Got it.
Senator Wheeler.
Mr. Chairman, explain my aye vote.
Yes, sir.
And like Senator Schickel, I guess I was under the mistaken impression we kind of voted on it too, but I think it's a really good bill, and I thank Representative Pratt for bringing it. I see that this could result in some very tragic circumstances, and that it has, so I think it's a very good piece of legislation.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman Westerfield.
I vote aye. Bill passes with favorable expression on a 9-0 vote. Congratulations. Motion for consent made and seconded by the chair. Motion by Senator Wheeler. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? There you have it.
Committee chair and committee members, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Representative Pratt. Appreciate it. I'm going to go now to Senate Bill 321, an act relating to abortion. We've got Senator Max Wise here with us. Senator, you have the floor, and while your guests One of your guests is certainly no stranger to us and is a good friend. Your other guest is a new member of the team of folks that frequent the building. If you'll have them introduce themselves, you have the floor, sir.
Certainly will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's not often I'm in front of your committees, Chairman Westfield, but thank you for the opportunity to present today, 321. I'll go ahead and let my guests introduce themselves for the record, though.
Whoops. I think I know how to work this. I know. Adia Wishner, Executive Director for Kentucky Right to Life.
And David Walls, Executive Director of the Family Foundation.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, in May of 2021, the United States Supreme Court announced that it would hear an appeal by the state of Mississippi of a federal circuit court decision that ruled a law banning abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy to be unconstitutional. The court's acceptance of this case was interpreted to be a willingness to revisit the principles of the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, in part because Roe was based upon what is now outdated and erroneous understandings of the viability of an unborn child. The case was argued on December 1st of 2021, and the oral argument further confirmed the belief of legal observers that the court was willing to either overturn Roe v. Wade or significantly revise it. And a written decision is expected to be in late June or early July. This legislation before you, Senate Bill 321, is closely modeled after the Mississippi legislation that is before the Supreme Court. I'm bringing this bill to you so that in the event that the Supreme Court upholds the Mississippi legislation as constitutional, we will have a pro-life law in place that would not be subject to a good faith legal challenge. This bill prohibits a person from performing an abortion on a pregnant woman when the probable gestational age of the unborn child is 15 weeks or greater. Probable gestational age has to be determined by a physician within reasonable probability. Senate Bill 321 also gives the Attorney General and the State Board of Medical Licensure specific authority to bring an action in law or equity to enforce any provision of the law. As you all remember, the General Assembly in 2019 passed legislation prohibiting the performance of an abortion with some exceptions if a fetal heartbeat is detected. A federal district court entered an injunction against the enforcement of this legislation. The upcoming ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court in the Mississippi Dobbs case may result in the 2019 fetal heartbeat statutes being deemed constitutional and enforceable, but we simply do not know. What we do know, however, is that if the U.S. Supreme Court ultimately rules the Mississippi bill to be a constitutional limitation on abortion, Senate Bill 321, the bill before you today, would withstand challenge and be immediately enforceable. I ask for your support of this important legislation, and I ask if my guests would like to make a very brief comment. I know you got a busy agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. On behalf of Kentucky Right to Life and our chapters throughout the state and pro-life Kentuckians, I want to say thank you, Senator Wise, for this very timely and wise piece of legislation, and thank the members of the committee for their willingness to hear this bill and ask for the support. This is just another step forward as we move forward in protecting those that do not have a voice for themselves, and that's Kentucky's unborn children. So I'd ask would be brief, and that's about as brief as I can be. Thank you.
Mr. Walls.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Westerfield and the committee. I will be brief as well. On behalf of the Family Foundation, we are in strong support of Senate Bill 321 and its common sense pro-life protections. As Senator Weiss has laid out, this is a common sense and prudent pro-life law for the legislature to act on this session, and we are in strong support and appreciate Senator Weiss' leadership on this issue and y'all's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have the opponents that have signed up to speak come up and address the committee now, if that's all right. But, Senator, I'm going to give you the last word on the bill if you want to have any closing thoughts after them or field any questions. We've got folks from Planned Parenthood and the ACLU and a citizen that have all signed up. You're all welcome to step up here. I'll give you a couple of minutes here to speak. And if you ladies would please introduce yourselves when you get all situated. Can we find someone grab another chair? Thank you for that.
All right, good afternoon, good morning. I'm Dr. Brittany Myers. I'm a resident OBGYN here in the state of Kentucky.
Sean Chase Martin, I'm a resident Jefferson County.
Oh, okay. I'll get going. So, hi, everyone. Thanks for having us today. My name's Dr. Brittany Myers, as I said, and I'm an OBGYN resident here in Kentucky. I'm finishing up my training here this June. So as my training has been at one of the larger referral hospitals in the state, I've been afforded what I think is a unique perspective where I've cared for women from all over the state that have come to get care. I've cared for women with different walks of life, different socioeconomic backgrounds, ones from conservative homes, liberal homes, small towns, and from downtown urban centers. Having all of these unique encounters has made me confident that I can properly speak for and represent the women of this state with a wide breadth. Because regardless of what this bill implies, I believe that truth and representation truly does matter in this issue. To be fully transparent to you all today, I kind of struggled with the idea of whether or not I should come. And it's not because of my lack of belief that women should be provided safe abortion care, but it's because I've been here in this situation before, and I feel like I was not heard. I have shared my credentials, my experience previously, my heartbreaks, and I've opened up about the struggles to provide Kentucky women with safe medical care, but I don't feel like it got through to the people of the committee. I ask, and I feel this way because the existence of this bill tells me alone that my narrative is not valued. This bill is filled with non-medical terminology, false information, and inflammatory language that is focused on shaming and falsely informing the non-medical community. If I were to ask the most simple of questions to you all, or to the people that raised this bill, like 15 weeks, why was that chosen? What embryologic development has occurred at that time? Why that gestational age? I highly doubt that anyone would actually be able to give me a medically substantial, evidence-based answer. For years, you've heard countless stories from providers like myself and people from the community, like you'll hear today, that share their unimaginable tragedies. And these tragedies will become more frequent and even worse if a ban like this is implemented. History and statistics have shown us that outlawing abortion does not decrease or prevent women from attempting abortions illegally. What it does prevent is safe management options and will lead to doctors like me attempting to care for their patients getting either tried as felons or no longer being able to give competent, reliable, and honest medical care to our patients. My final thoughts on this abortion ban, this 15-week ban. 1, 15 weeks, this theoretical gestational age chosen with no regard for actual embryologic developmental milestones. 2, this ban is oozing with non-medical terminology and misinformation regarding the safety and the truth of the procedures that we can treat patients with. 3, the ban destroys the sanctity of the patient-physician relationship. 4, this ban calls into question sexist implications that women and their providers are unable to make their own informed decisions. And then it also tries to frighten and vilify physicians like myself into providing subpar care. And I simply cannot safely provide the care and honestly tell my patients that the care I'm providing is what's best for them. The state has no right, the Attorney General absolutely has no right to interfere with medical decisions made between a physician and their patient, regardless of the circumstance. Thank you.
My name is Chantrice. I'm a resident of Jefferson County. In 2020, I started a program called Feed the West. We gave more than 50,000 people in the West End. Is that better? All right, it's my first testimony. Y'all bear with me. So my name is Chantrice. I'm a resident in Jefferson County. I'm a mother. And in 2020, during the pandemic, I worked to give free groceries to more than 80,000 people in the West End and around the West End. I've been able to raise over $1 million for organizations that support people who are either low income or under-resourced. I've been able to do all these things because in college, I got an abortion. Now, some of you may think that's far-fetched, but for people who come from backgrounds where you're the first generation college student or you don't have as many resources or you're on food stamps, for us, things are more possible when we're not forced to do things like have a child that we're not prepared for mentally and financially. Because I had that abortion in college, I was able to do all these things I listed and more. We can all agree that a pregnant person's health, not politics, should control important medical decisions. A person's health should guide important medical decisions through our pregnancy, not politics. This bill ignores real-world situations like the one I described. When I became pregnant in college with my long-term partner while on birth control, that was around 15 years ago. Every place I went to tried to either convince me to continue an unwanted pregnancy that I was not prepared for, or gave me false information about abortion, such as telling me that women who have abortions can never have children again. Obviously, I have a child, right? Ultimately, I had to drive out of state to get the care I needed. It was incredibly challenging and a massive financial burden. As a college student who was on financial assistance, who was on scholarship, who had 2 jobs, I had to take off work, take off school to drive to another state to get care that I needed. My boyfriend and I were forced to listen to a sonogram machine and then sent away. We could only afford a dirty hotel that we had to stay in overnight just to come back the next day. Abortion will always be available for people with money. Restricting access to safe abortion only hurts poor people. Forcing people to stay pregnant against their will does nothing more than prevent us from breaking the generational curse of poverty. This bill is a poverty trap. It is not always possible for someone to get an abortion as soon as they have made the decision to do so. Many things can stand in the way, from delays in finding out you're pregnant to not being able to afford it, to a lack of providers nearby or barriers put in place by politicians such as bans on insurance covering abortion and mandatory delays. And I won't be much longer, don't worry. People should make decisions about pregnancy with those they trust and medical professionals, not have those decisions dictated by politicians. This bill is neither moderate nor a compromise. This bill would have denied me the life that I'm able to live today with my 8-year-old son, who actually just spoke for the first time in Frankfurt last month. We've spoken a lot today, and we've spoken a lot ongoing about this in Kentucky. And I love this state. I love Kentucky. I'm proud of it. Everywhere I go, I tell people I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. But I would be more proud if we would listen to women, listen to people who actually have a uterus to make these decisions. Please vote no on this poverty trap.
Hi, my name is Tamara Weeder. I'm the Kentucky State Director for Planned Parenthood Alliance Advocates. I'll be quick with my comments, but I want to be clear that we already have a 15-week ban that is functionally the same as the legislation before you. This unconstitutional law was passed in 2018, and it is still working its way through the courts as part of a years-long legal challenge. Senate Bill 321 doesn't do anything that our state hasn't already done. It attempts to imitate Mississippi's 15-week ban, which is currently under review by the U.S. Supreme Court, just like the 15-week ban our state has already enacted. The Mississippi ban still has not been held to be constitutional, and it has never gone into effect. Passing yet another 15-week ban now, without waiting for the Supreme Court to issue a ruling on Mississippi's ban, and without waiting for a ruling on the 15-week ban our state has already passed, shows that this is nothing more than political theater designed to score points in an election year. Senate Bill 321 is an ill-conceived and politically motivated copycat bill that is being rushed through without fully understanding the legal landscape and without considering for the taxpayer dollars our state could waste defending this unconstitutional ban. People in Kentucky deserve policies that will make them safer and healthier, not constant attacks on their fundamental rights. And I also want to say we have a trigger ban in place that will go into effect if anything changes with Roe this summer. This bill is not needed.
Jackie.
Good morning, Chairman Westerfield, committee members. Thank you for allowing me to testify today. The ACLU, my name is Jackie McGranahan, and I'm with the ACLU of Kentucky. The ACLU of Kentucky is a nonpartisan organization whose mission is to protect, defend, and strengthen and promote the constitutional rights and civil liberties of all people in Kentucky. On behalf of our 5,401 members and supporters in Kentucky, I'm here to speak in opposition of Senate Bill 321 and to respectfully request that you vote no on this harmful and dangerous bill. Everyone deserves the freedom to make their own decisions about their bodies and their futures, including the decision to have an abortion. This bill would ban abortion at 15 weeks and take away that deeply personal decision. Some have suggested that a ban on abortion at 15 weeks is a reasonable compromise, but I'm here to tell you that there's nothing reasonable about an abortion ban. And I know that I don't have a lot of time to speak, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's testified today, and thank you for allowing us to speak.
Thank you, Jackie. I do have, there's Sarah Hall from Planned Parenthood. Did she come? Did she?
We're gonna cut her testimony in the
Okay,
interest of
okay.
time.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure because she did sign up, and I didn't want to. There was a Rob Matthew. I ask you to keep your comments, Mr. Matthew, and I don't know if I'm saying your last name correctly, to a couple of minutes if you can, please.
Right.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rob Matthew. Civics is defined by Merriam-Webster as a social science dealing with the rights and duties of citizens. It's something that the sponsor of this bill has indicated is lacking today. And I don't disagree. So during this Women's History Month, in the spirit of doing my duty as a citizen, I'm speaking out today to protect the rights of my daughter, wife, and other women in Kentucky by asking that you all vote no on this and all abortion bills. Roe versus Wade was decided decades ago. It didn't mandate abortion. It didn't say that women couldn't follow their faith, conscience, or their own personal belief system when making a decision about abortion. It didn't take away their right to include anyone they wanted in that decision. Roe versus Wade is a legal decision that simply protects the rights of American women to make choices about abortion. It's a right that has been in place for almost my entire 51 years of existence. Having an abortion should be the personal choice of a woman in consultation with her physician and the people she chooses to discuss her health care with, not the members of this or any other legislative body. One could argue that if lawmakers were concerned about your own civic duties as an American and were actually pro-life, you'd acknowledge that abortion is indeed a right and focus your time on passing bills that actually improve and support life for people from ages 1 day to 101 years. Instead, we've seen an onslaught of bills that intentionally or by design hurt the least among us. Just yesterday, we saw a couple of representatives mock the concern about the suicide rate among transgender youth. We've seen the concerns of the chronically ill and their families ignored because they may slightly inconvenience us during the COVID crisis. We've seen tax and education bills that help the well-off but hurt the poor and the middle class. We've seen all-day kindergarten get cut and bills to reduce unemployment benefits for the jobless. We've seen the comments of children and their parents ignored so we can pass laws based in hate. We've watched as legislators lie, misrepresent, and make up stories on the floor of this Capitol. But most of all, we've seen nothing that shows the majority in this body possesses a basic decency and empathy to consider the rights, wants, needs, and yes, life of all Kentuckians. Heck, you can't even manage to get out of a session with not one, not two, but 3 of your members making terrible anti-Semitic comments, including a rant so vile that one of your members would have been fired if he was working out in the public sector instead of here in the General Assembly. Maybe you think my words are mean, hateful, or unfair. If so, I ask that you simply reach into your pro-life vocabulary and think of me as a sidewalk counselor for politicians. Of course, unlike a sidewalk counselor, I had to walk through layers of security and sign up to speak. Unlike a sidewalk counselor, I don't have any illusions that my words are going to change your mind. And unlike a sidewalk counselor, what happens behind these doors actually is everyone's business and worthy of condemnation by the public. So I ask futilely that you abandon this and all other abortion bills. Work instead to support our children and working families, provide decent sex education and resources so unplanned pregnancies are reduced, and when they happen, make sure moms and their partners can feel supported to continue the pregnancy, or if they choose, have an abortion. Work to support single mothers, better access to child care, and mental health resources for all, and recognize that if you ban abortion, you don't take away the demand, you only put the lives of countless women at risk. Do your civic duty and reject Senate Bill 321 and all other bills about abortion in this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matthew.
Motion on the bill.
Got a motion from Senator Stivers and a second from Senator Schickel. Do have 2 questions thus far. Senator Berg.
Thank you, and I was actually planning on addressing my question to one of our residents who's no longer at the table, but I would like to reiterate a statement that was made.
I'm going to stop. Do you have a question?
I do, sir. I have
Okay.
a big question. There was a comment made that abortion will always be available to women with money. And I can tell you, I am 60 years old. I was raised by a surgeon. I know for a fact that in the past, before abortion was legal in this state.
Senator, I got to ask you to ask your question. We're not going to have, this is the rule I'm applying to everybody, so let's ask it.
My question is, with women, single women in this state making an average of 30% lower than men do, that's all comers. Average male salary in this state, $42,000. Average female salary in this state, almost 31,000. A single head of household female, a female single head of household's chance of being in poverty in this state is higher than any other subcategory of women. So my question is, and she stepped down, can you talk a little bit about the financial impact of an unexpected pregnancy and how that would have affected your schooling, your education, and your subsequent career? Thank you.
Miss
Yes.
Martin, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So for me in that particular situation, both my boyfriend and I got an extra job overnight at Churchill Downs, working security, just watching horses in addition to our classes. I actually failed 2 of my major classes and had to retake them because it was like, it's a time crunch. So that's for me personally. And I know women who in their professional careers have had to step back, missed out on promotions because they had to find alternatives and none of them were convenient or close or affordable. I hope that answers the question quickly.
Thank you. Senator West, did you have a question of the panel or?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One question, 2 parts. I'll make it quick. My question is for Dr. Myers. You've told us that you disagree from a medical perspective with the viability provisions that are in the bill. In your medical opinion, at what point do you think during the gestation period that the baby becomes viable? And then the second part of my question would be, upon your definition of viability, do you think abortion should be illegal at that point or any point past that, in your opinion?
Thanks for your question. So there's a pretty clean-cut viability cutoff, which our state already respects, which is 24 weeks is a hard viability cutoff. We know after 24 weeks, that's a viable fetus. And by viability, meaning this fetus could survive outside of the mother without the support of the mother. What was the second part of your question?
So you've told us 24 weeks. So
Yes.
Do you believe abortion should be illegal at 24 weeks or thereafter?
In this state, it's essentially a moot point because it is illegal after a 22-week cutoff. So that doesn't really apply to this situation.
That wasn't my question. I asked, do you think that it should be illegal at 24 weeks or after?
I believe that I should have the opportunity with my medical expertise and experience to individualize every patient's care depending on their medical history, the specific situation, and the circumstance surrounding it, which with my expertise, I should be able to inform them, educate them, give them options, and then they, based on their cultural beliefs, their religious beliefs, their background, their family support, their social situation, together, that's that sanctity I'm talking about, that we should be able to have that bond and trust, because there's very few people that have this intimate relationship with another individual that an OBGYN does with their patients, even more than some people have with their other family members. So my best interest is the patient, and I think everything should be individualized on each situation, which is why blanket policies like this can never address every individual situation. And you should have the trust in your education, your physicians, and the city and the countries that you live in and the states to respect that autonomy between those two people. It shouldn't be interfered on by the people that don't know the situation.
Thank you.
Senator Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've testified that 24 weeks the child can be viable, living, come out alive. Can you tell us, in your opinion, when does that child start feeling? What weeks does it start having feeling? Or can you?
Sensations?
Any type of feeling that child, you read the bill and it says it's got some weeks that it gives us.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on when that child
can
feel, move, or what?
Yeah, good question. So the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology actually released a statement on this, and it was in response to some of the comments made by President Trump during his presidency. And the nervous system is one of the most complex systems in our body that we still don't even completely fully understand as physicians. How the brain works, we know there's things we don't understand. Nerves are in place very early on, they're developed. You have the ability to you have nerves that can feel receptors. We do not see higher level nervous system development until almost the third trimester, where the fetus is able to regulate and appropriately respond to their environment. When we monitor babies, we see a very obvious switch of when they start having this homeostasis where both their nervous systems, the sympathetic and parasympathetic, work together, and you can see them respond to their environment. And that's at a third trimester, which is almost 3 months past what we're talking about now.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Senator. I'm going to ask if Senator Wise and Adia can come back up to give any closing thoughts. Ladies, thank you. And then we're going to vote the bill.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I know there was a motion and a second on the bill, and I've always learned if we have that, I'm ready to proceed. I know you have a busy agenda.
Understood.